to the show. Our three questions that
with Sugar Fix in Chicago with Dr. Jessica Emery. So thank you so much for jumping on.
I mean, I'm still gonna work on it, but yeah.
And then right away, as soon as that first thing comes out, they sign up for it.
It is my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Keegan Bohn. He is the owner and dentist at Bohn Dental in Hudsonville, Michigan. After practicing primarily as an associate dentist in the Grand Rapids area for the past 3 years, he and his wife Abby opened Bohn Dental in June of 2020. He received his doctorate of dental surgery from the University of Iowa College of Dentistry and Dental Clinics in 2018 and maintains an active membership in the ADA, MDA, and WMDDS. Now help me welcome and introduce Dr. Keegan to the interview. Hello and welcome to Dental Tech Chat. I'm your host, Allie, and today I have the pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Keegan Bohn. He's a dentist and the practice owner of Bohn Dental in Hudsonville, Michigan, and welcome to our show, and thank you for jumping on the Dental Tech Chat with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So we are so glad to have you here. We're back open in offices, and I can see that you guys just opened your dental practice not too long ago. So do you mind sharing with me a little bit of your journey and what had you and your wife want to open your guys' own practice together?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually opened kind of in the height of everything last year.
Yeah.
Our first day was June of 2020. We were supposed to open a few months prior to that, but it had been in the works for a couple of months and got delayed. So I graduated from the University of Iowa in 2018. And so I'd been out working as an associate dentist for a lot of different practices up until that point. And then we kind of liked the area that we were in. So we decided to open up our own office and we did a startup. There wasn't a lot of inventory of practices available at the time. So we just decided to do it ourselves. So here we are.
Well, that's great. And I've been looking at all of your guys' pictures and your guys' social media for just starting. You guys are really doing a great job. And like you said, I bet in that area it wasn't easy, but Hudson, Michigan's beautiful. I've been out that way a little bit. We're here in Ann Arbor, so we're not too far, but definitely a little bit of ways. But yeah, so I'm so glad that you guys had opened that practice, and congratulations on, getting your guys' practice up and running, and definitely with a little bit of a difficulty, I was sure, with COVID. Yeah. I mean, that's insane. You guys have been doing a great job.
Yeah, it was definitely not an ideal time to open an office for sure. But I think we've been doing okay, so far. And obviously now things are changing a little bit. So it's nice that we can kind of get back to normal a little bit with things.
Yeah, absolutely. So and just definitely great. And I think, you guys just taking it on, like you said, you had already moved forward, you had things in place and just doing the best you can and, letting people know who you are and getting your name out. Patients are definitely going to start flowing in. So that's great for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. So could you just share with me a little bit, what was kind of the inspiration behind picking your guys' dental, practice, location or getting your guys' start? I saw your guys' colors are very chic and modern.
Yep. Funny story about the logo actually first. That logo I designed using Microsoft PowerPoint when we were first kind of thinking about the idea. We were talking about it for a year, maybe, I think, before we actually did it, and just kind of through Google searches and using information from the 2010 census and different estimates about population and demographics. I actually spent a lot of time mapping out the area, and we had a couple different locations in mind that we thought would be a good idea to open a dental office in. And then we just kind of settled on this area because it made sense for where we wanted to live. And it's a great location and good community. So we kind of settled in that regard. And then you mentioned the Instagram and kind of the branding and all of that. That's actually been all us, which has been really great. My wife, Abby, is the dental hygienist here. So she and I have been kind of working together a lot on that. And she's kind of the main social media person and that kind of thing. So all the branding and the marketing we've kind of taken on ourselves. And it's worked out pretty well so far, I think.
Yeah, I think you guys are getting over that hurdle. I think a lot of people are afraid to take that jump, and your wife and you guys just taking it together and having her more of your creative, like you said, she's more maybe your creative outlet, but then, really showing your face, because I think so many dentists shy away from that. And I think what you guys are doing is really showing that repertoire with your patient, not only your work, but showing your personalities. And I think that's where a lot of dentists sometimes shy away, because sometimes it is the comforting face of the relationship. at the end of the day too, of like how you want to get people in the door. And that's just really been great to see your guys' personality shine through, and your guys' dog, MJ. Like I did a little bit of my own research, and I think that's so sweet that you guys give that comfortability piece with the dog, because if you can do it, I know it's hard right now possibly, but it can be worked back in. And I know other practices, that's such a cool idea if you can. And is you guys actually training, like bring them in every once in a while?
So we had it set up for him to do the training before the pandemic and everything.
Correct.
And then that was shut down, and we just kind of haven't gone back through the channels to train him yet. But we have brought him in for a few patients. So the one nice thing about being a startup is that, especially in the beginning, we didn't have a full schedule all the time. So we could, like if a patient requested him or wanted him, we would schedule them kind of towards the end of the day, go get him, bring him in just for that patient. And then, so there wouldn't be overlap with other people. But the goal is to try to get him here more full time if we can. But that's probably going to come down the road. But he's definitely the star of the show. That's for sure.
I gotta say, for sure, he is so adorable. Is he a golden? Yeah,
he's a golden retriever. He's about 4 years old now. Hasn't really calmed down. He's still kind of a puppy, but he's a friendly guy.
That type of energy is the perfect energy for dental practice. I mean, people love a fun, loving, puppy little cuddles. So that's a great asset. And I think it's awesome that you guys are doing that for him and for your patients. So that's really cool to hear. Well, this is going to bring me into our dental tech chat. So I know when you're opening your practice, like you said, you're a startup, and I'm sure you did all kinds of research and figuring out, what do I want to bring into my practice? And this is why we like to connect dentists, so they can hear your thoughts and maybe the things you brought into your practice. So if they're going to do a startup, they can hear on your little nuggets of information. So great. Absolutely. This is going to be our Diamond in the Rough. So this is a product that no one seems to maybe know about. That's been a big advantage in your practice.
Yeah, so this one was kind of interesting because there's been a couple of things that I think would kind of fit that description, but I would say the most valuable thing that we found, starting out obviously as a startup, you only have a certain budget and things can add up really quickly. And one thing that's been really important to me is to be able to have that dialogue with the patient and show them exactly what you're looking at, and be able to kind of dive a little bit deeper instead of just saying, you need a filling or you need a crown. And so we were looking at intraoral cameras a lot in the beginning, and we have the ADEC units. And so, you have the ability to integrate it into the system, and there's a lot of different features and cameras and stuff like that, but we just didn't really have it in our budget to put a camera in the rooms and stuff in that regard. And so I actually went on to Amazon, and it's the DAYOU Intraoral Camera. I think it was like $150.
Okay.
So we got one of those just to try it out and see what the quality would be. And it actually, for what it's worth, it takes pretty good pictures. And that allowed me to put one in each of the rooms. And we use it on every new patient now. Or whenever, we'll use it in the middle of treatment sometimes, or just, we use it all the time to be able to show it on the screen and talk to patients. And I think they really appreciate that. And being a newer dentist and being a little bit younger of a dentist, sometimes it's harder to build that trust and rapport. And so I think when you can actually show them what you're looking at, that definitely speaks volume for that kind of thing. So I think that's been really valuable for us.
Yeah, the intraoral camera is definitely one of the tools that I think a lot is get brought up in this channel, only because it's really great to hear the different ranges of intraoral camera too. Like you said, from a startup and somebody who's been doing it for a lot of years, or they're going to use something that's a little more pricey if they can afford so. But if you can find a good quality camera at the end of the day, that's how you're going to build trust and patient education. So that's great that they're in each one of your operatories. Like that, honestly, like coming even from a startup, like that was a great move on your guys' part, because I think it's really going to help and be beneficial that you're not having to share between, ops. And then it's just, it's right there. It's handy to go if like, say, like you have a few images and you're like, okay, but you see something, you have to go back and get it. So that's really great.
And I've used a couple different cameras myself. And, if the camera has a zoom feature, you can take different types of pictures, which is really important. Like this camera doesn't have a zoom. There's different lighting things and caries detection and stuff like that you can get in other cameras, which obviously this one doesn't have that. But when Abby and I were talking about it, we both agreed exactly what you said. If it's not there in the room and available, you're probably not going to use it. And so having one within arm's reach right there to be able to just grab it quick and take a picture is, it's so important and makes it more, important and efficient in your practice, and you're more likely to use it. So that was where we went.
I agree with you more on that. Yeah, you guys definitely set your guys' up for success there, especially with workflow and having the tool readily accessible, and then getting all your patients, teeths and all their images. Cause like a lot of times too, you want to do a lot of good before and afters. So when you keep seeing them, you can keep getting those images and getting that patient profile built. So that's really good.
Right. Another camera that was a great camera. I could look it up afterwards and maybe you could put it in the description or something like that. But I believe it was like $100 to $150, and it comes with a little mounting thing where you can mount it right, in the room.
Right.
It was pretty easy to install. I installed it myself. I didn't even have to have my IT company out to do it. It's just got 2 buttons on it, a power button and a capture button. So it's really easy to show someone how to use it. And so the learning curve it's pretty easy to pick up and start using right away for sure.
Well, you guys heard that here, because sometimes some of them got like the 3 different buttons going on. So if you need something that's just quick and easy, I mean, gets the job done, that definitely seems like a good option to go. So this will bring me to the next question, which will be our no risk, no reward. So this is going to be a big investment of time or money and technology that was a payoff in the practice for you.
Yeah. That one was a little more challenging to answer, just because being a startup, like I was saying before, you really got to prioritize where your money goes. And when we were first looking, we did a lot of the marketing, the branding on our own. And so we felt a little bit confident in that avenue. So one way that we kind of shifted things a little bit so that we could prioritize our investment in other areas, I actually took on designing the website myself.
Oh, wow.
So it's not, obviously there's a big range of quality of website, and we don't have like the highest quality website, but initially it was going to be a large investment to have a company come in and design the website and host the website and that kind of thing. And so I actually used GoDaddy as the domain host, and they have a free website builder on there. So it's a little bit limited with what you can do, but I spent a lot of time, a lot of hours in the beginning. I don't even know how many hours I have into the website, but I spent a lot of time, putting images on there, descriptions, that kind of thing. I actually went and invested in a nice camera that, I don't really have a lot of photography background, but I've been trying to pick up on that a little bit. And so between the camera and the website, I think I've spent a lot of hours, putting into that to design that aspect of it. And that was really beneficial for us as a startup, because it gets pretty expensive when you start trying to implement different features in the website, and you want to make sure you have a good online presence. And so the last thing I wanted was someone to see our Facebook and Instagram and our social media, and then go to our actual website and see something completely different. So we wanted it to try to be an extension of that as much as possible.
Yeah, I think you literally, you got amends to you on doing that yourself, because I know there are so many people that is the first thing, like when it comes to a big investment, that it's kind of like the behind the scenes investment of technology. That is such the behind the scenes. So that's actually really great that you're bringing this up for a lot of startups, because that's just something that kind of, it's thought about, but then once it comes up, it's like, oh, wow, look how much money this is going to cost me. So for you to figure that out, I can only imagine how many hours, because like from every button that's got to be linked together. I understand like how a little bit of that back end site works. I've heard a few other things like Squarespace and like there's a few other like online portals
Wix,
you can use.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, like Wix. Yeah, Wix is one. So like you're definitely, we're on the right track with doing that yourself, but you guys have done a really fluid job of keeping the same brand and the same message throughout. Like honestly, like you guys have done such a good job. I'm been a lot with the brand management here at Sodium. So I definitely know where you're saying it takes work, because it definitely is going to take understanding the voice you want to use and understanding the clarity and just the colors, the fonts. It's insane that all that has got to match.
Crazy. Yep.
Right. So like really great job. I think it's very fluid and it really flows together. And it is the same. Like you said, you don't have this really, fancy website, and then you're just kind of maybe being somewhat consistent on your socials. I think the way your guys' consistency is definitely the way I think most offices got to start out.
Right. Yep. And you mentioned a couple other platforms that you can use. I didn't really look into many of those when I was starting. I actually had a buddy that works for GoDaddy, and so he kind of tipped me off to that in the beginning. But I do know like Squarespace is a really good one. And then I think Wix, I played around with that a little bit. Wix is a lot more complicated than what the GoDaddy one was. Very simple. You're pretty limited with your options, but they simplified it in a way that you can get a website out pretty quickly.
And that's what they need.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying that. Cause I think people do, they like, you know, you see all these tools, but if you don't know what you're doing, you kind of need that selection to be narrowed down.
Right.
Because there's a lot going on in those website builders. I mean, each section, just from the blog to just like your services page, it's insane how many different titles and linkings you need to have for it to all connect.
Mm-hmm.
And each page is actually an additional page. Like when you click a button, it takes you to a different page. Like you can have like 9 pages and you're only looking at 3 to edit, but it's 9 through each little button.
Right.
So from your contact us all the way to just the home screen and the meet us, the meet the team, looks really good. I think the layout you did was really, it's clear and concise too. I think GoDaddy has a really good template. If they had that kind of built for you, I hope they did. But if not, you did a great job on how it's all going to flow.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. The flow is important because you don't want your patients to get confused. Because if there's too much to do, they don't get where you need them to go.
And that's the balance too of putting content on there to help with like SEO and ranking and things, and trying to keep it simple for patients, because you can bog it down really, really quickly.
Yes, that's a really great point too that you brought up. So definitely you guys check to make sure you're watching your SEO, because you want it to all link, especially with like going from your Google to your website and then also to your socials, because it gets bogged down quick if you add way too much. It kind of gets lost. The search engine kind of goes boom, and you kind of get out of the top rating. So makes sense. Look, if you add way too much, it kind of gets lost. The search engine kind of goes boom, and you kind of get out of the top rating. So makes sense. Well, thank you for explaining that to us. And I think our listeners are really going to get a lot of value out of building a website and understanding that it is a big investment, but if you also put your time into it, it's going to be worth even just starting out with a normal platform. So that's a really great tip. Yeah. So this brings me to kind of our auxiliary one, which I'm sure it can go either way if you want to use it as a product or even something you just tried that was like a new social media app. It's called The Flop. So this could be, what did you buy into that was kind of maybe a waste of your time or money?
It's interesting. So I would say from a technology standpoint, I wouldn't say it's a complete waste, but one of the compromises we made at the beginning was we really wanted the rooms to be as efficient as possible. And so we went with a built-in Cavitron unit. And so we had everything all optimized, ready to go for that. It was a pretty good investment in the beginning. And obviously, considering our circumstances right now, we've been very limited with our use of that instrument and haven't really used them at all. So I would say over the last year, it's kind of been a flop, but it'll change, down the road when we can use it again.
Yes,
but
definitely.
I think that was one where we were really excited about it, invested a little bit of money, and it just didn't pan out to be able to use it right away.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be able to use it, really soon here. But other than that, we really haven't had many things that we don't use. We really utilize every piece of technology in our office. So we've got just the patient management software, our reminders and texting and that kind of thing. We just have a pan machine. We don't have a CBCT or anything like that. So that gets used pretty frequently. We have just a single sensor right now that hopefully we'll get another one, because that's we've noticed that we definitely want to get a little bit more.
That sharing becomes a little difficult.
The sharing is a little difficult.
Yes.
Yep. Exactly.
Slows down that patient flow a little bit, but I understand.
And then from like a social media perspective, we try to do a little bit with like TikTok and Snapchat, but we just haven't really found our footing in those. And so we kind of just disregarded that after we messed around with it for a while and stuck to mostly Instagram and Facebook.
You got to find what your niche is, for sure.
Right. So, but other than that, I feel like we've been able to utilize most everything pretty well so far.
And I'd have to second you on that. I think you guys are definitely on the right track to success over here. So this is awesome for you guys over Bohn Dental. So you guys are really doing a great job. I think it's like a startup. You guys are getting your foot placement. Like you said, it probably was a little bit of a rough start, but now you're starting to get the momentum, and that's what's going to matter. And when it comes really quick, I want to loop back to your Cavitron system just for our listeners. Sure. Do you mind sharing if you have the particular name?
The specific, so we have like an ADEC delivery unit. And so I think it's actually, the brand name is just Cavitron. It's just a built-in, it's an ultrasonic scaler that's built into the unit, the delivery unit. And
that's pretty awesome though.
And you purchase like the individual tips and stuff like that go with it. And each room has one integrated into the unit, and each one we got, multiple tips and things like that for it, so that we'd be able to utilize it frequently with patients, but we just haven't been able to use it to this point.
Yeah, with the regulations, I totally understand why they're not getting used. Yep. Got to stay safe. But once those do get lifted, I think definitely the ROI will come back. I know, I'm so sorry. I'm sure there's so many dentists who also have these same, same units. Everyone's got different units and they're not able to use them. So it's definitely right back to the hands and using those hands every day. But we'll get back to using our things that make things a little bit easier. Because I know I miss it at our appointment. I go in for my cleaning and I'm like, oh, I miss getting that done.
Yep.
Goes by so much quicker.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, really quick, also, I wanted to ask you just a little side note. When it comes to your dentistry, like what got you started with the passion, is there any like particular like thing when you're doing dentistry that's like your favorite thing to do when you see a patient? Like, is it your cleanings? Is it your x-rays? Like, what's your favorite thing to do with your patients?
I would say with a patient, I think the aesthetic aspect of it is pretty enjoyable for me. I actually kind of got interested in dentistry because I chipped my front tooth in half when I was a kid.
Oh my goodness.
So
would have never known that, obviously.
They fixed that up for me. And then I ended up having to get a root canal on it years later. But, that's kind of what sparked my interest, just to go from having half of a tooth to at least something that looked like a tooth again. And so for me, it's really enjoyable to be able to do that for other people. I know I'm not the world's best cosmetic dentist, but you can do some pretty amazing stuff with, filling materials and crowns and veneers and different things like that. So we actually had a patient a few weeks ago that had an accident and chipped both of her teeth in the front, and pretty much right away we were able to at least get her something that looked really pretty natural. And obviously it's not an ideal circumstance,
right?
But what dentistry allows us to be able to do to help them, I think, is pretty incredible. So that side of it's kind of fun for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that has got to be, like you said, that's definitely a spark. I'm sorry to hear about your tooth incident and this poor girl. I mean, I think like you said, what dentistry can do, it's such incredible work. It's amazing that you can make someone feel instantly better. They can come in and you can solve that insecurity and that problem, that pain. Because we all know your smile is like pretty much like your portfolio. It's kind of your personality in a sense, like hair and smile, like as a woman at least, but for men and even women, everybody, your smile connects to your health, connects to your personality. It's like, it's part of your image. So like, that's so sweet that you guys are just like dentistry. Like, I just love being a part of it too. And getting to talk to so many dentists and how you guys benefit so many people's health and their livelihood based off their smile and their oral health.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Because like, it's so great to hear some tips on what you're using in your new practice and your startup. I would love to bring you back in a few years from now or sooner than that and just kind of re-chat about anything you knew and implemented into your practice. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for having me. It's been fun. I know I don't have a lot of information and a lot of knowledge, but there's definitely a few things as a startup that we've kind of experienced that I think are important. So thank you again.
Very important.
It was fun.
So fun. I definitely enjoy hearing, and I think we need to have more dentists speaking about startups, because that's why it was really great that you had accepted to come on, because I love that we'll be able to intrigue other new dentists coming in and they can hear your story, that also may give them the inspiration that, hey, someone else has done it. They can keep doing it. Because, there's this fear factor to that. And I think it's really great that you took on your dream and you did it. I know it's not easy. It's got to be a lot of hard work. And, some people get scared, but if you hear enough stories or you see enough people who are really doing it, makes it the effort to where, oh, I'm going to try that. It's something I want to do. I'm going to follow my dream. So good for you and Abby. I'm happy for you guys. And this was such a great chat. And I look forward to hearing from you again. And before you go, would you mind telling me and our audience where we could connect with you online?
Yeah. So we talked about our website a lot.
Yep.
You can find our website at www.bond-dental.com. And that's one thing I will say really quickly. If you are thinking about doing a startup or having your own dental office, go and get the URL and the domain name, because for whatever reason, bonddental.com was taken when we first looked, and we weren't able to do that. So we're at bond-dental.com. And then you can reach me via email as well at bonddental@gmail.com. So yeah.
Well, great. You guys heard it here, Dr. Keegan, and I'll also link all of his information down in our bio description box, and make sure to follow them on Instagram if you aren't already. They have tons of cute pictures of their dog. Abby does such a great job posting, and we will talk to you again sometime soon, Dr. Keegan Bohn. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.